there, welcome to Greenfluence, the podcast that brings you the latest in sustainability, responsible investing, and climate change. In this episode, your hosts, Maya and Vis, chat with Harim Jung, a climate change data visualization specialist in South Korea. We'll be hearing from her about the power of grit and nuclear energy.
In this week's episode, we will be talking with Harim Jung, Research and Development Engineer at Seabury Solutions, and a champion data engineer. She leads the Climate Change Data Visualisation, aka CCDV, a Tableau-driven climate change-related data analytics group. About Seabury Solutions. Seabury Solutions is a global leading MRO and airline business-based company and expanding core competencies into data analytics in nuclear and renewable power system industries. It supports the power plant ESG and digital transformation consulting groups. Welcome, Harim.
Hi, Harim.
Hello, Chris and Maya. Thank you for having me here today. It's my great pleasure to meet you guys, especially with the Greenfluence, actually. And I wish to share many things, especially about the ESG and climate change related things, and hopefully the listener will have to get to listen to the Greenfluence podcast. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to have you on as well, Harim. And I think for me, because I use LinkedIn quite a bit, and I saw your profile, and I think it's really great to see a young professional with such a passion for data and climate change. On your LinkedIn, it mentions that your passions are grit and persistence, as well as entrepreneurship. So I just wanted to know, and I think our listeners will also want to know, how did all of these things come about?
We have to break out the mold and the boundary to do something, because this is a totally different story. That when you have something in mind and when you're doing something in real life, it's a different story. And every great thing happens with the very first small step, and that is what we can call like entrepreneurship. And on this journey, no one pay you attention, no one pay you bucks, and no one pay you any kind of applause or encouragement sometimes. And no one knows what you do effort next week. But even though you have to keep going, even if things are not going well, and keep going till the things comes out to the word. And there is a persistency, and making this persistency like a habit is like a great. So I definitely love the word great myself, because this is the key to the small success, and I have the small tips and I believe like this kind of small tips will make a huge snowballs of one's life. And I definitely feel like this is one of the word I can call like my career journey, because I cannot call my career journey it's like a wow or still so long, but I have to push myself with my grade, and I have to call myself like, okay, I can do this, because even I fail about it or even I stop about it, nothing really happens. So I just push myself. And the first very step was like, I got so interested about data science, but I didn't have any kind of knowledge about it, because as you can see, like my background was nuclear engineering, my bachelor was in mechanical engineering, and no one taught me like what is data science and what is data actually. So I wanted to learn a little bit about the data science. So I started the Coursera and Udacity or something, YouTube, and that was like the very first step. But as you know, this is really not easy, because even though you have a lot of motivation, sitting on the desk and just following the course is not easy work. So I changed my plan. So why not I starting a little small project by myself. So I just tried to get some connection from the LinkedIn. I just try to reach out to the people, and I just asked them. And most of the people really kindly replied to me, and you can try this one. So I tried the small things. And after the linking all of the things together, now I can call like, oh, could be a career moment for the people. And that is the basic step for the entrepreneurship, Because whatever you do is like not only working for the company, you have to work for yourself first. And that is, I feel like, entrepreneurship. And that is what the Greenfluence are really doing actually so far.
Yeah, no, like 100%. I think like a lot of what you said when I was listening to it, I was like, that is why we started Greenfluence, right? We want to build something that's just for us. It's something that reflects our brand. And I think like what you covered was really interesting about your passion for data science and how like it wasn't easy. You did the online course and things like that. Did your education inspire you to get involved in the space? And what is the view about climate change and sustainability in South Korea? And how did that help you? Or was it like a challenge for you?
Okay, actually, so about the educational review, there is like these days the educational review of the sustainability and the climate change was like a blooming because our government just going they embark on the new policy and the new era about the climate change and sustainability, and definitely it's all about like a top-down style. You understand it, right? So because the global trend is, especially with the climate change, the forest industry is so booming from here and there. So the government and the lots of monetary paths are coming from the university and educational, possibilities. So to be honest, I feel like I'm on the right track, especially with the environmental and technology sector. So thankfully, lots of the young generation could have a chance to learn about the sustainability with the technology, but there are some limitations, yeah, because all of the countries, sustainability and the energy sector or even about ESG comes like a different story because they have to consider about their capitalistic style and they have to consider about their own policy. I feel like, and one of the things I want to really talk about it is like the Korea has our own the sustainability policy. We call it like a K New Deal. The K is the acronym of the Korea, and this is based on the Sustainable Development Goal from the UN agency. And it directly affects the budgetary plan, which lead the companies work in ESG more and more these days. And actually, this is not true that the ESG comes like a couple of years ago in Korea. We didn't care about the ESG that much, to be honest. Yeah. As a nuclear person, I already got kind of a deep knowledge about the nuclear compared to the other people. I feel like I feel a little bit sorry about our Korea's ESG and sustainability policy system because I don't think you know about it well or not, but the Korea has been starting the reducing the nuclear power path because we have a pretty picky politic issue with North Korea. You got it? And they already got the nuclear issue something. So the IAEA and the different countries, led us to be a little bit flexible about it, and our government felt like it. So we decided to reduce the nuclear pact. And it also comes like we have to embark and expanding the renewable party, but it's not working really well because the limitation of the geographical things and something is not going really well. So I think in this point we have to consider about the energy scenario. We have to consider to the energy transition system, especially about what energy sector we have to focus on. And in this point of view, I feel like I can be right or wrong, but it is so true that we don't have a reliable renewable energy so far by the lots of limitations. So, and that is a really a big point of ESG inside of the Korea actually, because we are a fast-growing country and we are pursuing lots of energy and electricity demand, but at the same time we are under pressure of the nuclear sector. So this could be a kind of the wow issue inside of the ESG investment someday.
What you mentioned there, it relates to Australia as well, because Australia and South Korea are both developed countries, but we both have challenges in renewable energy. And it'll be very interesting to see in the upcoming COP26, the climate talks in Glasgow, like what different countries think and I guess what we can agree on, because it's such a huge challenge. And I think what you've done is that you've used quite a bit of data to show the impacts of nuclear energy and to show the impacts of renewables of ESG. And I think that tells a great story. And honestly, I don't see it very much. So it's very unique. So how did you start doing this, I guess, visualization?
Actually, we have also one picture is better than 100 words. Maybe there's total story, because my visualization journey didn't come at one time, because I had a background about the research engineer. I had a background about the master's degree. I had a background about the different party. But finally, I feel like even though I have lots of taxation, I have so many words to say to the people who want to really get interested to hear about what I want to say, because it's too complicated. Sometimes it's too hard to understand. So people want to know and understand faster. And people want to, see at that moment without any kind of explanation. And I feel on that way of the context, I feel like, visualization could be a better way and could be a really impactful and useful tools to let the people understand it. That's why I started working on the visualization.
I noticed the focus has been on nuclear energy. Why did you choose to focus on that area?
My bachelor degree was about mechanical engineering, and I was really lucky to get a chance to work in the UAE at 2015. And I was working with nuclear instructor, interestingly. I teach the nuclear student about thermodynamics and physics and that kind of the subject. And I was really, easily to get connected with the nuclear people. And I got so fascinated about like, oh, this could be an interesting part. And there are so many opportunity and possibility I can work for them. And so I started to work in nuclear power really easily. So after I come back to Korea, I joined the KHNP. This is the biggest nuclear company inside of Korea. And I learned like how the nuclear power is working for the people. Even though lots of people say it's too dangerous and we have to decommission or we have to reduce it, but there's a lots of pros and cons about it. No, I feel like nuclear power is still so strong and reliable one. So it comes like nuclear power is important. What we call like a low carbon energy is like a combination of the nuclear and the renewable energy. We cannot, just like detach nuclear power at this moment because the energy consumption and demand is too high, and the normal fossil fuel and the normal renewable energy storage cannot, match the demand and its consumption. So we have to think about the transition scenario.
That's been a really big focus in Australia, particularly in that energy transition. We're looking at, renewables mostly around wind and solar because of the land mass, lots of desert space. Personally, I'm also pro-nuclear, but we're very different energy demands. And because of the size of Australia, it doesn't really suit the needs of our population. It's more of the issue of transferring electricity from sources. Like if we were to have a solar farm in the middle of the outback, how would that be then transported to the city of Sydney? And so we're going to be looking at hydrogen alternatives and also battery packs. So that's going to be hopefully for future episodes. We would like to now look at some of your own background and work experience. And you've definitely had a lot of wide-ranging experiences, Harim. You've worked for the UNDP as a research analyst in Cambodia in 2014, and also an engineering peer tutor in Abu Dhabi in 2015. And so that is really quite unique. How did these experiences come about, and how did that shape your view of the world?
Thank you for calling it like my complimentary story, but I don't think it's like a wow because you guys already have a great career moment in your journey. And so about those experiences literally broadened my mind and eyes, to be honest, because the UNDP was like my first internship in my, within my university degree. And I feel like now I realize that it was all about like the sustainable energy system and equal energy usage for the people who need the clean energy, because not many people and still so many people are under some pressure to get the electricity for their daily usage because we are using so freely, but some is not that accessible on it. So the project was about equal energy, and it totally triggered my point of view of the SDG and ESG totally. And after that, I finished the degree and I went to the UAE for my first job in the Abu Dhabi Polytechnic. And as I mentioned, like from the UAE, I started my career inside of the nuclear industry. And I feel like this is like a wow, and this is a clean and affordable one. So I feel like, this could be like my second path to work through. So I decided to work on it. To be honest, living in some different countries is really, really interesting and really like meaningful for the young generation, especially the one who has thinking about what to do for the next 10 years. And living in the UAE is really meaningful for me still now because UAE is really exotic and UAE is really generosity. People are really generous, and they are open for new business and new ideas. So I feel like it was really awesome experience for me. And I can feel like those experiences really let me know like you can do whatever you want, especially if you have a right determined mind, especially about the international experience. I can feel like if you have something in your mind, you have to try to reach out yourself and open yourself like a self branding. So that was like what I learned from those international experiences.
I also recall from, I think, the quiz we had in the launch party, this
Mhm.
was in Abu Dhabi that had the highest carbon
It was actually
emissions.
Qatar, but like it's that region. Yeah. The Middle Eastern region. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they approach energy, especially since, their resources are very different. They have mostly desert and
Yeah,
sun as
desert,
well.
but yeah, they have oil, so well,
They have a lot of
yeah,
oil.
That's true.
yeah, a lot of oil, but they already have the IRENA branch, the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, and the UAE is the very first country from the Middle East who started the nuclear power and who has a really a long vision, long term of the vision to transfer to the renewable energy. The one thing I really like the UAE is like they don't rely only about the oil. They try to transform the energy system, and they just invest on their own people. They make the Dubai as like a digital hub to make the startups comes like a digital hub. So I feel like this is a great leadership I can call like. And of course, as Miles said, they has another whole extraordinary energy system indeed.
So just on the topic of, nuclear,
Mhm.
just delving further into your background here, I see that you've also had experience at the International Atomic Energy Agency. How did you land this role, and also what were the challenges that you faced?
Oh, this is my favorite question actually, because at 2019 there was like the post I saw from the LinkedIn, and I just saw like the IEA has opened the data visualization contest about the climate change. So it totally hooked my eyes, and I feel like why not? I can apply for this contest. So I tried to develop my own code and visualization with Tableau, and I used the Press dataset. The Press dataset is the power reactor information system from the IAEA official dataset. And the one thing is like the Press dataset is the best data about the nuclear, but no one knew actually. There was like my own question like, how come this dataset is this valuable and amazing, but no one get interested about it? So I decided to put this data into my visualization. So I developed the visualization, and I got the first winner of the contest, luckily. So fortunately, I got to invited to Australia, Vienna, especially about the headquarters, and I participate in the general conference and present my own data visualization. And lots of people, get agreed with my own ideas, and I met the really great mentors, and especially Dr. Monet, who asked me to work together with him. So I landed the job really luckily and really flexibly. Of course, working with the international agency is a really a great chance and opportunity, but at the same time, this is really challenging because like the time zone is different, the language is different, the culture is different, and totally the UN code is totally different. So we're really dignity and really robust, and sometimes so many steps to cover up. No one just let it pass. Let the things pass easily. But after I work with IAEA, what I learned is like nothing comes really easily, and there are already great mentors and leaders who opened the nuclear era industry to the people. And sometimes in IAEA, it's really easily to get lots of objection and offensive ways from the world because not many people know about the nuclear well. But they decided to be the leader, and they decided to be the global talent in nuclear. So I learned so many things. After the working with the International Atomic Agency, Energy Agency, I feel like, oh, I got the certificate. I got the certification about the data visualization with the climate change. So this opportunity just gave me like the great encouragement myself, and I feel like, oh, I can be the climate change specialist. So yeah, this is one of my career moments actually.
Wow, so it sounded like a really big turning point.
Oh yeah, it is actually. Yeah.
Everything good happening afterwards. And so let's just return back to that topic of renewable energy. It seems like a lot of large organizations now see the need to reduce their carbon footprint and reach those net zero goals. From your perspective and from what you've seen and your data, how can we stimulate and encourage greater renewable practices?
I think the renewable energy is like a really hot topic of the day. We can't rely on fossil fuel alone. That is so true. And to be honest, I cannot say like we cannot stimulate or we cannot encourage young people anymore because it's already so famous and so like blooming topic for me. So my very own thinking is like we have to choose the right direction and we have to choose the right movement and we have to keep the right intention. That is the things we can do to people who has interest about to work about this topic. Yeah. And the first step is like giving them the right knowledge about what is the renewable and what is the sustainability, what is the climate change. We don't need to say it's like the global world is warming or temperature is too hot. That is so basic, to be honest. I know basic is really essential, but we have to finalize and we have to figure out like this could be happening, so we have to prevent this one, and this also could be happening, and everything is like a link, and everything could be happening, and it will end up paying more tax about the carbon something. That is actually my own idea and my thinking, and the expanding the renewable energy source is not an option anymore. But for me, to maximize the effect of the net zero goal, we have to focus not only about the renewable, but we have to focus on the energy efficiency and the energy transition as well. Yeah. For example, like if we ask the people, or if I ask you guys, like if you buy a Tesla model, is it like a carbon free? Then most of the people could answer like, yes, it's carbon free because it's electric mobility, but end up it's not, because if we generate electricity, we also emit lots of the carbon, emission CO2. And what we call this one is like a carbon intensity. And end up the goal is like reducing the carbon intensity. That is the basic thing we have to focus on. So to be honest, like the carbon intensity, the CO2 intensity, especially to the carbon emission to generate the electricity, take like 40% of the total emission. And we have to let the people know this one. This is the first step, I think. When it comes to thinking about the low carbon energy, we cannot detach the nuclear power as well, because not every renewable can only pick up, meet the emissions, meet the electricity usage, and we're also thinking about the country's policy. So basic thing is like tell the people what is the real choice and what is the real thing is talking about. And then next step is like understanding about your country's policy and scenario, and try to think like what you can do. There's things we can do. And one more thing, I feel like especially the young people, speakers like you, Lisa and Maya, you guys are really doing well. And I think this kind of movement have to be, comes more influenceable and comes more like a spreading, because small action could make a huge impact. Like we cannot do like Miss Greta Thunberg, we cannot be like wow, but we can do something small and small, and then like make the copy and make the information like a legacy, and let the next generation to understand about it easily, because we already learned about it and we have a tools like a voices and visualization, so let the people understand a little bit easily.
And it's so important about telling the truth and telling the facts as it is. There's a lot of misinformation out there about what is climate change and the impacts of, rising temperatures. And so having the facts laid out and understandable is going to be really crucial as part of that influence on organizations and people's minds. So now if we go back as well to your kind of current role at Seabury Solutions, can you tell us a bit about that and also what's next for you in your career?
Actually, I'm a research and development engineer at Seabury Solutions, and we are like one of the leading companies, especially in the airline and MRO. And I totally feel like you guys got into curiosity, like what is the correlation with the MRO and airline and the ESG? You could be, someone could be like, what kind of role we are doing that? We've been actually working on the energy transition and digital transformation as well, because thanks to the COVID, the airline and the the industry was really shrinking so far. I mean, like the budgetary cuts are not doing so well. So we decided to focus on the digital transformation, especially about the low carbon energy system. So at that point of view, I tried my best to work on the things I can do apply. And thankfully, we got so many interesting projects, especially dealing with some mega data about the power plant. And we concentrated the project, especially to the digital transformation following the ESG context. Because in just case of the Korea, lots of power plants and lots of things working so well till now that the ESG policy has been so pushed so strongly to the companies. So they have to calculate quantitative analysis. They have to figure out like what is going on inside the company. Not only about the CO2, but have to thinking about the welfare of the people. They're thinking about the happiness point of the company. They have to thinking about their, like a social good point. So in that point, we are the team who can concern for the company, especially about the power plant company. So we support the company to transform like a digital transformation and building up a digital hub. That is the role we are doing. And I'm the one who's leading those kind of the digital related power plant project.
I really like, I guess, the focus that your company is having on the low carbon solutions, and how you mentioned that a lot of, like, say COVID happened, it had an impact, but it also creates an opportunity, I guess, in terms of looking for new solutions and things like that. And I think the other good point you made is about, I guess, the social aspect, like how you treat your people, things like that, because that encompasses the S part of ESG. So I think it's important for us to focus, as well as the environmental part, on the S and the G parts, the social and governance. And I think that's really important. I have a lot of friends who come from an engineering background. My question is, so for someone with an engineering background, and say if they want to pursue a career in climate change and sustainability, what's the best way for them to use their skills?
This is really actually a good question, because climate change is really a broad topic. Everyone get interested, but no one knows what to do. We cannot go to the university to learn about from the A to Z. So my idea and my answer about this question is like starting a small topic from your side and try to make it a little bit bigger and bigger. This sounds too artificial, but for my case, for my answer, or for my experiences, as I said, when I got some topic to want to know a little more about, I try to reach out to the people and then ask them directly. That is really a helpful way for me, because we cannot reach out to the head of the ESG manager. We cannot, but we can at least like reach out to you, Viz and Maya, and ask them like what to focus on and what is your journey and what is your experience about the struggling. So for me, like I got to know about the climate change and sustainability. So I learned about the nuclear energy, and after I learned about the nuclear power and energy system, I feel like, data science could be a great implication about nuclear power to maximize the possibility. So I try to learn one by one from YouTube and Udacity, and I feel like, this visualization is working well. So I write up the thesis, and then I feel like, the climate change is going to be a great issue, but no one can understand without a right method and tool. So I try to dig the visualization. So finally, the things like happen like this way, and we can meet and connect together. So, but the things what I want to say is like a thing never comes like easily, because you have to think deeply, you have to think in depth, and you have to ask yourself like what you want to do. Because climate change is really important, but like doing the recycling clearly, that is not the way you can do. Just sit on your desk, do your work, and then try to open the link to what you can do and what kind of things are going to be happening if you do this way, especially on the goal of climate change. For example, like Maya and Viz, you guys are also working so well about the climate change and sustainability, but to be honest, this is not the first idea you already got from the first step, right? You've done your work and you found out like, this could be impact on the climate change, and you found your passion on it, right? I feel like so. And at this point, I want to ask you guys really, I want to ask you about like what kind of motivation made you want to Greenfluence, and what made you really brave to working on this one. I've been so inspired actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing to hear, Harim. I think
Mhm.
firstly, I think you made a really good point about the
Mhm.
importance of reaching out to people on LinkedIn and doing additional courses and things like that. And like I've looked at like the say the IPCC report, it's like
Mhm.
something like a few thousand pages, or like it
Yeah,
has a
yeah,
lot of pages, and it's like
yeah.
obviously like most people they wouldn't be able to read that. It'll be too confusing. So I think the power of data and explaining that is like so interesting. So
Mhm.
really good job to you. So I guess from my perspective, Harim, it was something that I was passionate about, and Maya also had a lot of interest in the field. And I think both of us, we used this whole lockdown period as a time for us to sort of develop this idea and to see like what impact we can make. And for me, I think I noticed like a lot of people, I felt they understood climate change, but they didn't understand like say ESG and how ESG links to finance and looking at it from the big picture. So that's for me. And yeah, I'll pass it over to Maya now.
Yeah, it's been a lockdown project and it's been an idea that we want to take to kind of connect as well. All the people that we do to, we reach out to, like every one of our friends and all of our colleagues are all very interested in learning, but they don't know where to go. And they also seem like they feel like they're alone on this journey. And we want to be this platform to actually, be that community and hopefully be that platform where startups can grow and these frameworks and reports can be built and be that collective power in creating change.
This is really amazing. I totally understand. Like having something in my hand, doing something in real life is totally different, as I said. And you guys done already amazing. And I totally want to give you a applause. Starting a this great movement. And I think because not many people, especially like the young generation, who has a consideration about ESG and sustainability, they have in mind, but they never work like you guys. So I really respect about this point of view. Seriously, yeah. You guys did amazing thing. Yeah. Mhm.
No, that really means a lot, Harim. And you are also
Um,
you're also doing amazing things with I guess the impact you're doing and upskilling and also like putting everything on LinkedIn because like it's really great to share this information with
oh,
everyone.
definitely. Yeah,
Like
definitely.
I think a lot of people are responding to your post. So like I know like a lot of people are finding it beneficial. So I think you're doing amazing stuff as well. So I guess like on that note, I wanted to sort of think about how data can be applied to climate change. Like I think it's a force of good because people get a better understanding of say how nuclear energy or say like another say like I guess another type of energy can, I guess, impact people and the effect it has. So, what systems or softwares can young people use to upskill themselves, and what's the best way for them to learn?
Really good question because I've been struggling about this part so long, and I found on my own software as a really powerful tool. But to be honest, if you want to deal with the data, with the climate change or any kind of really big issue, you have to figure out like what you want to do first. Do you want to develop a model to predict some answer, or do you want to analyze in depth? Or they want to make an impactful result, then your answer is going to be different. So normally people start it feels like they have to run lots of code with artificial intelligence like Python or TensorFlow or something, but you don't need to because all about the data processing and data analytics is like figuring out like what you want to bring up. So my answer was like a tableau because I'm a data scientist as well. I know how to code. I am good with the data processing, but it is like the very first step. There's so many labor you have to put onto the work. And I get you already know about it because you're working like an analyst, so dealing with the code. But processing and laboring is like something you have to do like a basic aptitude thing, but the things, especially with the visualization, you have to choose like what kind of flexibility you want to put and what kind of interactive movement you want to apply. So I feel like at this point of view, I feel like a tablet is so far the strongest tool I can apply for. And one of the great great advantage about the tablet is like tablet has a great community already. When you learn something, you might feel like, oh, I'm still struggling and I want to know a little bit more about it, but I don't know who I can ask for. But Tablet already have a great community and we already have a great movement about it inside of the Tablet. So whenever you want to know something, you just tap the hash or just ask or reach out to the Tablet Gen Master, then you can learn and you can participate in the community. That is actually how I learned myself and how I learned the Tableau. And definitely I learned from the virtual mentor from the Tableau community. And I feel like this is the turn I have to pay back to people. So that's why I created the climate change data visualization, like hash CCTV. So whenever the people reach out to me and ask me like how to develop this one, and I'm definitely afraid to tell them, definitely. So actually the software and tool is like whatever you have to choose for your own advantage and your own purpose. Even Vision Maya want to develop some visualization, you can choose the D3 or Power BI on the purpose. But for me, tablets is really great because it has a great community. That is a really strong point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think having that good community and sharing information is so important. Now we're going to change things up a bit. We're going to our speed round of questions. So this means we have to answer them a little bit fast. Are you ready?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Okay, first question. What are your book recommendations, Harim, and who are people to follow in this space?
Totally the Factfulness by Hans Rosling. Factfulness, yeah. Have you heard about that book?
I actually have. I think I've read that book actually. I think it's really
really good. Yeah.
So the second question, what advice would you give your younger self?
I might say like keep going on the goal and no more excuse and don't worry, nothing gonna be happen. And actually no one really care about you. That is the advice I can give. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. So next question. How do we keep our financial institutions and governments accountable on climate change and sustainability issues?
The first of the things about the financial institution and government accountable on climate change is like education for me. The education not going to be like a right and formal education, but it's more like public education for the people to understand like what is trust. That is my concern and that's my proposed answer about it. So I think the financial institution is really important and it's really easy to put the money on the wrong direction for my personal view. But so that's why you have to put the right direction and you have to keep it like open access to public education or things, to let the people know, at least let the people know like right and formal information. Yeah.
Where else can listeners go to learn more about you and your organizations?
Mostly LinkedIn and Twitter, I post with them regularly, but I already launched a CCTV, the climate change data visualization. So I still have no specific idea like how to make it like spread into the world and how to make the real people who want to participate in this data related to climate change issues. So that's what I want to ask the people for a little bit more about. But I think the first step is like launching a website and then let the people learn for free and share it for free. That's the first step I have in my mind because I don't look for the profit. I just look for an opportunity for the people to grow and participate together about climate change. Yeah. So I will share with you and mostly on the LinkedIn I can post it there. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I think we all do appreciate that, Harim. So I guess keep up the good work. And then the last question is, so if you had 3 wishes for the planet, any 3 wishes, what would they be?
Definitely keep the temperature and persistence and opportunity for the next generation because I still feel like we already spent so much things. So I really wish the planet keep going a little bit more and wait for us to cover up the things and we have to give the opportunity to the next generation because even the COVID is really, I feel like this is like I have to keep my tongue a little bit patient, but I feel like the corona is also what we already made you understand. So we have to keep the planet and we have our attitudes on the right way. So make a better and safer planet.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think
Yeah.
with COVID, hopefully it's quite temporary, but climate change seems like a permanent thing. And it's something that
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
have to do in order to make the world better for future generations who might not have the same privileges we have. So definitely agree. So Harim, that brings us to the end of our interview. It's been a
Mhm.
real pleasure to have you on board. And I really find your passion for the climate change space and also like your ability to want to help people really amazing and educate people more in the space and share your knowledge. While I don't know too much about the data, I think that's amazing and something I want to learn as well. And I think
Oh, definitely.
it'll
Mhm.
definitely help me and other people
Oh,
understand
sure.
more about energy, more about ESG. And I think like it's that whole mission. And it's something that Maya and I want to do. We want to empower people and make an
Oh,
impact
sure.
to make a change in the sector. So I think like we are definitely aligned, and that's really awesome to see. And yeah, I do wish you all the best at Seabury Solutions and anything else that you want to pursue. And I'll definitely be following you a lot on LinkedIn. And yeah, I really enjoyed having you on this interview.
No, thank you so much. Seriously.
No worries, Harry.
I feel so happy, and I wish to have great chances more and more with Greenfluence and about the sustainability at ESG. And we have to try to opt the collaboration opportunity, develop some data visualization or data related climate change somethings. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Maya and Biz, especially for taking your time and giving me a great opportunity to be the participant about the podcast. And I'm really looking forward to your unlimited drugs. You guys deserve the best. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Harim.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate that.
Well, how was that? Harim is so wonderful. She has so much insight and experience, and I certainly feel empowered to just go for it, to make it happen. A grit mindset is what we need as we tackle the climate change crisis. If you'd like to get in touch with Harim or see any of her work, her links will be in the show notes. By the way, I'm Sarah Sarangolo, your new podcast editor. The Greenfluence team and I would love to hear from you. If you'd like to get in touch and become a Greenfluencer, check out our social media links in the show notes. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts to stay up to date with the latest episodes. Until then, see you next time.